Is this okay?
You're good. You're live.
Hey, farmer friends, it's Corinna tuning in. Hope you guys are having a great Friday today. And I actually have a little bit of chaos going on right now in my house. If you look down over here, you're going to see I have crates of vinegar and spices. And over here I have my kitchen pans. I literally have crates of kitchen stuff all over my living room because we are redoing our kitchen. And we've been doing this for 8 days, and I think we're going to be doing it probably for another 2 weeks. So my house is in chaos. Add to that we had a snow day today because we are out in Ohio getting that big snowstorm. So my kids are home, just a little nuts. But I'm glad that I can be here today. I'm going to try and get through this material. I want to do a quick intro today and just let you guys know that I am actually going to be a workshop presenter at the OFA conference next weekend. So I don't know if any of you guys live out in the Northwest, Midwest area and are going to that down in Dayton, but if you are, I am totally open if anybody would want to meet with me. I was thinking about trying to create some kind of a roundtable discussion. I don't know if they do that there. Maybe I'm getting that confused with Moses, but why don't you just write something in the comments if you're going to OFA, and if you are, I would just love to know that, and maybe we can try and meet up and I can do a little get together and we can talk digital marketing there. So that was just my little plug for those of you who are going to OFA. Okay, so today we are talking about the 4 reasons that people buy. People have to be ready to buy. And we have talked about this before in other episodes. But I want to remind you of something I call the taxi light phenomenon, or the taxi light effect. So you want to catch a taxi. Let's imagine that you're in New York City and you're trying to hail a taxi. The taxi isn't going to stop for you unless the taxi light is on, right? If the taxi light is on, it means he's in business, he or she's looking for someone to drive around. If the taxi light's off, it means they're not working and you can't get into that cab. And I like to think of sales and marketing kind of like hailing a taxi. So sometimes the light is off and the customer is just not interested. They are not ready to buy. And then sometimes the taxi light is on and they are seeking information, their emotional trigger has been pulled and they are ready to buy, and that's when you want to get them into your sphere of influence. That's when you want to make the move and go for the pitch because their taxi light is on. So that is what we're talking about today. The taxi light is on. What are the things that cause people to tip over the edge, to go past that tipping point and be ready to purchase? And if you know what these things are, I'm going to go through 4 of them, kind of the big 4 that I've learned about, then you can execute them more intentionally so that your customers can get your product. So I didn't know about these 4 reasons. Now that I know what they are, and I'm going to share them with you in a second, they're kind of obvious. But I never really intentionally knew about them until probably 6 months ago, 8 months ago. And once I realized what they were, I started executing specifically 2 of them much more specifically. And I had some really strong results. Now, I'm not sure if it's because I was executing those 2 principles, but I think it was part of it. So I'm really excited to share these with you because I think none of these are like rocket science. None of these are going to blow you away. But when you hear them, you're going to go, oh, that's important that I do that. And you're going to understand why. So as we go through this training, I want you to start out just by picturing something that you have recently purchased. Maybe something that's over $50, maybe a $75 item or a $100 item. And I don't want it to be a tractor. Okay, but think of something else. It can be something for your farm or it can be something for yourself personally. And I want you to ask yourself, what made you finally decide to buy it? Okay? Think about that for a second, and we're going to go through these 4 things, and I think you're going to find that some of those things were being employed in the process or deployed in the process of trying to sell you that product. All right. Hey, give me a quick shout out if you're here. I see that there are 7 of you. So just say hi. I'd like to know who's here so that I can know who I'm talking to. All right. So the first thing that the first reason that people buy is personal gain. Personal gain, okay? We've talked a lot before about how our products either need to solve a problem that a customer has or adds value to them in some way, okay? And so this is where that personal gain comes from. Your product is helping your customer move from that before state to the after state. If you've referenced that video, we have a whole training about the before and after grid, which is really good. So you want to help your customer move from the before state to the after state. You basically want to help them progress towards that after state. So any kind of progress is a good thing. And that's what your customer wants. They want progress towards their goal, towards their aspiration, or they want you to solve a problem. They want to have progress in that problem solving piece. So that's the first one, personal gain. That's one of the main reasons people buy. How do you use this? So in your marketing efforts, make sure that you have, number one, identified the problem that your customer has, or identify the aspiration and the goal that they have, the reason why they came to you in the first place, okay? So that's all about that customer avatar research. You can reference the video that's all about finding your customer avatar, doing surveys. It's really, really important. That's why it's the first step, because you have to understand what they want so that you can deploy that information in your marketing efforts, because you want to help them with that personal gain, right? You want to give them progress towards their goal. So talk about the pain points in your copy. Put that in your sales pages, put that on your website, put it in your emails. Bring it up from time to time. Really kind of wheedle in on the emotions and the feelings that they have. Tell stories about the problem. Sometimes I have a whole email that's just kind of a story that I really get into what thoughts are going through their head when they're walking through the grocery store and they see cardboard tomatoes that taste now. You know, I really try to get in there and imagine, what are they thinking? What are they frustrated about? Another tactic to use is what I call imagine this. So I use that phrase sometimes in my copywriting in my email. Imagine this, and then I'll cast a future story for them so that they can see what their life will be like when they've used the product, when they've benefited from them. So I'll spell out the benefits. I'll talk about how their life is different. I'll try to kind of cast vision for them about how their before and after states change because of the fact that they're now using our CSA. Share outcomes of other customers who have used your products, so highlight their progress. This is kind of going to go into one of the other things we're going to talk about later, which is testimonials. So using a testimonial or a case study gets at this problem because it helps someone see, this is what your personal gain is going to be. Look at all these people who have had this progress. You're going to have that too. You could use video to show them how to use the product and how it benefits or solves the problem. So I do this a lot. A lot of my content creation is video in my Facebook Live or Facebook group, or I actually put them on YouTube too. And I'm trying to show people, look, this is how you're going to learn. You're going to learn how to make your own broth with vegetable scraps, right? And I kind of walk them through how to do that. That's exciting. That's a quick win. I'm going to teach you how to use vegetables better. This is what you're getting out of this personal gain. You're going to grow, okay? And then again, when you're talking about the features of your product, don't just say, you know, you're going to get this, this, and this, like a really sterile approach. You want to kind of link a benefit along with the feature. So I used to say on my sales page, we offer additional shares like fruit, cheese, egg, etc. But then I added another sentence so that you can have the added convenience of a one-stop shop. Okay, so I've added a benefit in my copywriting to that feature so that it kind of speaks to, how does this help you? So what? You know, what benefit, what's the gain, what's the personal gain for each of these elements? So that by the time they read your copywriting or they watch your video or they read your emails, they have a really good picture in their head of how you're going to help them get ahead, how you're going to help them progress in their journey. So one reason that people buy is they want something out of it. They want to grow. They want personal gain. They want a thing that no one else has. They want to be able to say, I can do this now. They want to be able to say, this solved my problem. So that is the first thing I want you to think about, okay? The second reason that people buy. Let me see who's here. Amy, James, Helene, and Lynn. Hi, you guys. Awesome. So glad you're here. So ask questions if you have them, okay, as we go along here. The second reason that people buy is logic and research. So logic and research. Buying is often a very emotional decision. Once I heard that, I see it all the time in myself now. I kind of analyze myself when I'm buying things. A lot of times we decide that we want something, and then we have to justify why we can spend money on it, okay? And so that's what this logic and research is speaking to. So once your mind has decided that it wants to purchase something, it is looking for a reason to justify the purchase, especially if it's a high dollar item. So this step is all about helping a customer justify his or her decision in why they should purchase this product. There's logic, a need for the mind to kind of logically wrap their head around, okay, why should I spend $400 for this box of vegetables? And they start to research. So I think a lot of us, here's where I went wrong. This is the one thing that I did out of all the 4 steps, 7, 8 years ago. I feel like this is the thing I focused on. I was trying to give all the logical reasons why, the facts and the figures, why this was a good buy. And that is important, but it's not the most important thing, okay? The most important thing is probably step number 1, or reason number 1, that people make a decision to buy because they want something or you're going to solve a problem for them. Now they're going to start looking for reasons to justify the buy. And you as the vendor or the salesperson needs to figure out how to do that. So how do you execute that? All right, so number 1, people are going to probably go to your Facebook page and they're going to check out if there's any information. They're going to look for pictures of your product. They're going to go to your website and they're going to look for pictures there. They're going to look for details about your product. They're going to want to know the sites. They're going to want to know the prices. They're going to want to see what other people are saying. They're going to try and figure out the features. They're going to go look at another CSA in a neighboring town, and they're going to compare the two, and they're going to see, which one's better, which one has more of the features that I'm looking for. Does this one have meat? Oh, this one has bread. Maybe I should take that one. Okay, these are all the things that happen when they're looking to try and decide, can I do this? So what exactly do I get as the customer out of this transaction? And does the copywriting that you have in all of these places, does it address those questions that people have? Does it show the costs broken down by week? Does it identify the frequently asked questions that your customers have? And you know what those are. In fact, I think that would be really fun. If you're a CSA farmer and listening to this, why don't you type out just list like one of the most frequently asked questions that you get from prospects all the time, almost to the point where you just want to like scream and you feel like you type this answer out all the time. I would love to know what those are. For me, I know one of the top ones is, should I get a half share or a full share? So I answer that question. These are the kinds of decisions, and they're looking for information. They're looking to say, does this person give me the stuff that I need to make my decision? Do they give me the right information to help me justify in my head that this is a good deal, okay? If you have a frequently asked question, I would love to see those. You can type one out, something that your customers ask you a lot and you feel like, oh, what if I can't make it to a pickup? Yes, that one is a lot. Payment questions. You get payment questions. How can I pay in different amounts? Can I use a credit card? That's another big one for me. So knowing what those frequently asked questions are in advance, you want to create content for that so that it can address this logic piece, right? People are going to end up purchasing the product from the person who is the least confusing, all right? Not always the best product, but the most clear and unconfusing product is the one they will often choose. So you have to provide that information for them. I also use video a lot. Like I made a video a couple years ago to show a sample box, because I would have people say, well, what's in a box? Does anyone have that? No one wrote that one yet, but what's going to be in a box? So we finally made a box and did a video unboxing, and we had a full share box too, and kind of showed the two different versions. So content marketing is really big here, and I'm going to, as this group continues to grow, I will be focusing on content marketing eventually, just giving you lots of ideas for how you can create content that you can essentially use as marketing assets. But if they see that you're answering their questions, you're making it less confusing, you're clarifying these questions for them, it tips them over the edge, all right? Now, most of the time when a person has started into this logic phase, when they're looking for logic and research, they have already decided that they want to buy it, okay? The question is not so much, will I buy this product? The question is, who will I buy it from, okay? So they will buy it from the person who provides them with the most information in the easiest way to understand it, okay? Let me share an example, because this just happened yesterday. I thought it would be a good case study for this point. I had a prospect call me yesterday on this phone, and actually the phone rang twice, and I hung up. I picked up, nobody answered, I hung up, rang again, hung up, rang a third time, and it was the customer, and he was like, I tried calling you twice and you hung up. I felt really bad. But he was basically saying, hey, I would like to consider being in your CSA, but I live out in Findlay. Now, as soon as I heard Findlay, I was like, oh gosh, that's like really, really far away. And I knew where he was going with this, because we don't have a pickup site close to Findlay. He's like asking me, where is the closest pickup site would I be able to come to for your CSA? Do you have any shares left? And I was like, yeah, we have 6 left, but we don't deliver out there. It's just really probably not, probably the closest thing you could do would be Perrysburg. And he said, oh, that's probably just too close. I said, you know what, there is a CSA that would serve that area, that actually goes out to Bowling Green, probably has a pickup site in Findlay. And he's like, no, I need you to be certified organic. I mean, I was just listening to this guy, and he was trying to find a way to make it work. I could just see it in his head. He's trying to justify, he's trying to make it happen. He's decided he wants to do this, and now he's trying to get the logistics to work out. So he's like, I was just wondering if maybe you could find somebody in your CSA that would be willing to, drive it out here to Findlay, someone who lives out here. So I actually went into my private Facebook group and asked if anybody would be willing to do that. And 30 minutes later, I had 3 people who volunteered and said, sure, I'll do that. So I called him back, said I found somebody, and he signed up and got a full share, okay, the biggest kahuna that I have. So that is a great example of how somebody, I probably should have just said, I'm sorry, this isn't going to work out, but he kept pushing back and wanted to make it happen. Okay, so you have to be able to provide in your copywriting, in your process, a way to help that customer logically feel good about their decision. And I think the fact that I had really great customer service and went over the top probably just sealed the deal for him. All right, the third reason that people buy, this is huge. This is probably the one that will be easiest for you to activate. Social proof and testimonials. Okay, I can't believe I wasn't using this before in my first 8 years. This is so incredibly powerful. I want you to just think about Amazon, all right? When you go to Amazon and try to buy something and you look around, if you're like most people, if you're like me, the way you decide between multiple brands is you look at the stars and you look at the reviews and you read what have other people said about this. We purchased a vacuum cleaner, and I remember through Amazon, like we didn't go and try it out anywhere, right? We just did it over Amazon, and the way that we decided was by looking at all the reviews. Oh my gosh, we must have read like 30 of them. And we looked at other models that were being suggested by Amazon, right? We were trying to find one that would suck something up really good, right? I hate it when they're not powerful, and I wanted them to be able to get under the cracks in weird places. So, I mean, I was looking for stuff, very specific things like that. And I wanted it to be easy to clean. I didn't want it to break apart all the time. So as I was hunting it down, my main criteria for helping me figure out what a good vacuum cleaner was testimonials, was the social proof. All right, so social proof is huge. And if you don't have a mechanism right now in your sales process for leveraging social proof and testimonials, you are missing out, because I really feel like that has been a game changer for me. Another case in point, in our very own Facebook group recently, last week, I posted a question about, hey, believe it or not, I don't actually have an online store. I've always used cash and check. And now we're actually moving in that direction. And I was just telling people, I think I'm going to use Stripe, and I'm just kind of wondering if you guys can guide me. And so the first question that came back, or the first comment that came back, was from Jamie, I think, and he's like, why aren't you using Square? And then that just set off this like huge avalanche of other comments of like, Square's awesome, and just all this great stuff about Square. And in a matter of 30 minutes, I had completely changed my mind, and now I was researching Square. So do you see how powerful that is? I mean, my own farmer, like farmers that get me, and that, you know, they're not like other businesses in a different industry. Farmers are using Square. A lot of farmers are using Square. So I bet as a farmer, I'm going to like Square too. So I'm going to go with Square. So that's another example. Social proof testimonials completely changed what I ended up doing. So that's going to happen for your customers too. And I can't believe this, but for the first 7 or 8 years of my CSA, I never used customer testimonials anywhere. They weren't on my website. They weren't in my flyers, nowhere. And if you look around on just about every website today, in any industry, you're going to see testimonials sprinkled throughout their website copy. So how can you use social proof and testimonials and case studies? Let me give you some examples. First of all, I'm just going to reiterate, your customers will be looking for them, okay? They will be looking for reviews and testimonials. And it will, in many cases, be what tips them over to the other side. So put them on your Facebook page. So there is actually a place where people can provide reviews for you and do stars. Send out a call to your people, to your customers, from periodically, a couple times a year maybe, and ask them to put a testimonial up on your Facebook page. You could also create a post that is a picture of one of your customers and a testimonial from them, okay, or a case study where you tell their story. You could do a video where you go and interview them and just sit in front of a camera and talk with them, and then use that as a testimonial and post that on your page. So Facebook is a great place to do that. You can even turn it ultimately into an ad if you kind of cut and paste it. I would also recommend putting those on your YouTube page, because YouTube is a giant search engine and it will kind of work for you all year long. The downside to Facebook is when you post something, it gets lost in the feed, right? And unless you keep recycling it as an ad, it's not going to show up. So that's kind of why I like to put things on YouTube as well. Put them on your website copy. Oh my gosh, please. So I'm actually rebuilding my website right now, and I used to just have a page called testimonials where I put them down, but now I'm actually sprinkling them throughout the sales copy. So in the stack, as I'm building it, I'll periodically put a nice beautiful quote, with a nice background behind it, or at the end I have like 3 columns where I have 3 different testimonials, and then I have their face, their profile face, so you can see the actual person's picture as well. So use them on your website for sure, because everyone goes to your website before they buy your product. I can assure you, people are always going to your website. You could create an email in your drip campaign, in your sales campaign that you're maybe building right now. You could have one whole email that's just a case study of a particular CSA member from last year and their story of how they have achieved the desired state, how they've moved from the before state to the after state, and how they've grown. You can tell people, another example of social proof would be if you have a high retention rate, talk about that. Make a badge and put it on your website, or make a seal in Canva and stick it as a post on your Facebook page. So we have a 78% retention rate. That's pretty stinking good. And so I'm going to plaster that everywhere I can now, because that's kind of like social proof. You can tell if you have a lot of people in your CSA. I didn't realize this until a few months ago when one of my customers said, oh, well, I saw that you have like 400 people and you've been doing this for 10 years. So that means that you probably know what you're doing. Okay, so that's kind of like social proof there. If I have 400 people that are in my CSA, that's a big number, you know, that says a lot of people are satisfied. So that's another form of social proof, letting people know if you have a lot of people in your CSA, talk about that. And then just testimonials in general. There's a whole video that I did about how to get great testimonials from your customers. So I will reference the video archive in our Facebook group to go and find that. But just remember that there's a difference between a good and a bad testimonial, or a helpful and an unhelpful one. All right, an effective testimonial and an ineffective testimonial. So you want to try and coach your customers to create an effective one. And I go through that in the video about what's actually a helpful one. It doesn't help to just say, hey, this is a great farm. That doesn't, why is it a great farm? Give me specifics about how you've grown or developed, right? So the more detail you can have in your testimonial, the better. And if it speaks to those pain points or to those ways that you know your customer avatar usually likes to grow, all the better, because then they're speaking the language of your future customer. You can also grab a testimonial during the phone interviews that you're doing. You can swipe them off of the Facebook page. Sometimes people will write comments about how awesome that box was this week, and you can kind of take out pieces of that if it's a good testimonial. I actually have a Google Doc for testimonials, so when I find good ones, I swipe them and I just stick them in there. And as I was building my website this week and building the homepage with the testimonials on it, I actually went back and looked at that Google Doc and pulled out a couple that I thought would be helpful and effective. Okay, and don't forget that the process of someone actually giving a testimonial is actually really good for the customer itself too. So it kind of causes them to move to the next step in the customer journey to say, I'm loyal to this farm now. So asking someone to give you a testimonial actually helps them out as well. Okay, so that was reason number 3. Finally, reason number 4 is fear. Fear. People buy because of fear. And let me give you specifically fear of loss or a fear of missing out. In the marketing world, fear of missing out is also known as FOMO, F-O-M-O. People buy when they get worried that they might be missing out on something. Do not underestimate this one, all right? I feel like this one is really huge for me, and I have had dramatic results because of taking this one seriously, and this was hard for me to really embrace. So let me explain why. You need to give your customers a reason to buy now, all right? Or they never will. I'm getting a lot of emails from you guys, people asking me, I have people asking me, telling me they want to sign up, but then they never do. They tell me they're interested and that they're going to do it, but then they still haven't signed up yet. What's going on? And here's the thing. People do not buy unless there is a fear of missing out. Okay, so let me show you how this worked recently in my own life. If you listen to the Farmer to Farmer podcast interview, I talked about how I purchased a copywriting course for $995. And I know you're all gasping right now. That was a lot of money. It was not the first time that that I had heard about that course. It was not the first time I had seen it pitched or that I'd seen the price tag. I'd first heard about her like a year ago. I'd been following her, and the first time I heard it, I was like, that is way too much money. But then I slowly kept watching her and listening, and I liked her style. And then one day, an email came in from her. I opened it up, and it was talking about how they were doing a promotion. This particular course that was usually $995 was now being bundled with another course called Launch 10X to learn how to do launches. And together, both courses were $995 together, okay? Then in the email, I saw a countdown timer. Have you ever seen one of those? I mean, there's literally this thing ticking down. and it said there were 6 hours and 29 minutes left, right? And immediately I thought, oh my gosh. And it was the countdown timer, I think, that did it. I saw it ticking down, and I thought, I have to make a decision. I really want to do this course. This is a great deal. And all of a sudden, I thought about it for like an hour, and I came back. I was probably doing the logic thing, right? Trying to justify my decision. And then I saw that there was a bonus included, a special workshop that was going to teach me how to do a sales email copywriting session. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's like an over-the-shoulder thing where I watch her building a sales email. And I'm like, that's awesome. But that bonus was not going to be around forever. It was going to go away after this, 6 hours was up. So I bought it. And the rest is history. But she executed this fear of missing out principle on me. Because if this had just been an open-ended offer, hey, I sell a copywriting course for $995 and you can buy it anytime, all year long. It's always available. I probably would never have bought it. The reason I bought it is because there was a specific time when the offer was around and then it was gone. And there were things that had sweetened the deal, okay? And I was afraid that those pieces of the offer, the sweet pieces of the offer, would be gone, and that I would kick myself later because I'd end up buying it, but I wouldn't get those bonuses, right? This is why it is so, so critical to get really clear about what your offer is. I have a whole video about crafting a great offer. I almost feel like I need to do that video again. It is so, so important. Your CSA has to have something, your offer has to have something that goes away after a certain deadline. If you're trying to build a promotional campaign and figure out how to get people to sign up for your CSA and you're freaking out because they still haven't done it, well, number one, it's February 7th or whatever, right? So in my opinion, people aren't really thinking about it yet, so I wouldn't freak out yet. But when you get to March and people are starting to think about spring and no one's signing up, listen, I didn't believe this either, but I did a 2-week promotional launch time where there was an offer that was only good for those 2 weeks. And when it was over, the offer was done. And I cannot tell you how much that helped me sell a ton because people felt this fear of missing out. There was an urgency that was created, okay? So if you want to get them to buy now, you have to give them a reason to buy now. And this is where the fear of missing out portion is executed. Now, how do you use this? I've talked about this in some other videos, but I just want to challenge you. Think about this, and I know it's hard. I struggled when I first learned it. I'm like, I can't do that. I can't, close down my sales and say I won't sell this deal to you anymore. I just want to challenge you to really consider this. And I'm going to do a whole special training about how to build a promotional launch, right? To kind of give you the step-by-step. But how do you use this reason number 4? Okay, you need to leverage scarcity in your offer. So is there something in your offer that is in short supply? So for example, for us, the egg share, there are only 100 and I have 400 member CSA, so I could leverage the scarcity card in my emails and my promotional launch and talk about, listen, if you want an egg share, you got to sign up on the first day. Okay, there's 400 people in my CSA. I mean, at least 200 of them are going to sign up probably in the first few days. So if you want the egg, you got to do it the first few hours. Okay, that was creating that fear of missing out. I don't want to lose my egg share. I got a lot of phone calls and emails from customers who were like, what do you mean I don't have squatters' rights on my egg share? And I'm like, not going to do that this year. Sorry. I knew that those people would get it. The ones who really wanted it and were freaking out would make sure that they got on their computers at 8 a.m. Okay, and I knew they were going to be good. So, but leverage scarcity. Figure out what's already scarce within what you're offering. Price point. Okay, you could create a discount during this 2-week period or however long your launch is. I know, like for early bird renewals with my current customers, I always offer them a discount. But you could even go even deeper and say, I'm going to give an extra special discount for the first 100 customers, or whatever that magic number is for you. Or maybe for the first 48 hours of my launch, this will be the price, and after that it's going up to this, okay? Doing something like that, especially if you communicate it in your pre-launch email sequence early enough, that really motivates people. It pushes them up against a wall, and there's a fear of missing out. They see something that they could get as a deal, and they don't want to miss it. They don't want to kick themselves later. Another thing you can do is create a bonus. The bonus has to disappear, though, once the offer is over. So maybe, like in our case, we created a cookbook that included all the recipes that had been shared in our private Facebook group from the year before, and I gave that away to the people who were renewing that were already in my CSA. Okay, so that was the incentive. If you want this cookbook, I'm making it for you, but you can only have it if you sign up by October 1st. And it was very effective. People wanted that, and I told them this is not going to be available. I'm not giving it away ever again. It is locked away in a vault, right? Another idea would be, I was just trying to brainstorm. You could create some sort of special content piece, like a guide to CSA. That's another thing that I made. A little ebook guide to CSA that I'm giving away as a special bonus to people who purchase within that time frame. What if you offered a private dinner with your family for anybody who purchases your most expensive item? Let's say you have a full share like we do, and only like 15 people ever get it because it's a lot of money. So I might one day decide I'm going to provide a private dinner for anyone who buys a full share, and they're going to get to come to my place and we're going to have a meal. So that not only benefits them, but it benefits me, because now I get to eat with my top buyers, and I get to cultivate that relationship and lock them in and their loyalty in, and I get to know them better and figure out what it is they want. So that would be another idea for a bonus. So creating some sort of bonus in your offer that has extra value, that's fairly easy for you to create and put together, and that goes away. Okay, it has to go away when the deadline hits. Leverage urgency, so creating a deadline for your launch period. So this, I know this flies against everything you've ever done. For the first 8 years of my CSA career, I just had it always open-ended. I was like, whenever. I was so desperate for customers. I'm just like, I will always have it open. And it just seemed like no one ever signed up until the last like 3 weeks when I was freaking out. Well, probably because that's when the urgency's happening, right? We're running out of time. We're starting in 3 weeks. I need to know now. So if you can somehow create that that fear of missing out within your offer earlier, it really goes a long way. I used a countdown timer on my sales page, and I used it in my emails as well, so that when they were opening them during that launch period, they were seeing a few of the emails had that in there, and they were watching the time ticking down. Also, just talk about what's at stake in your emails. So if they don't sign up again, or if they don't sign up at all, what is not going to change in their life? How are they going to stay stuck? So if you can kind of leverage in on that pain point and talk about that, that helps. That's kind of a copywriting tip. If these are for people that you're trying to get to renew, you can talk in your email sales copy about what they're going to miss out on if they don't renew. So I know for us, the Facebook group has become incredibly valuable, and I talk a lot about that. Like, hey, wouldn't you miss that? Wouldn't you miss being able to just hop into a group and ask a quick question, and within 2 minutes you'd have like 5 responses? So I think for our CSA customers, that was a leverage point that I had. I'm just looking here, and it says, Lynn says that she uses our farm t-shirts as a bonus item. That is a great example. So they get a free t-shirt if they sign up by a certain time. Love that. If you can find a low dollar item and this even promotes your farm, that's great. I know last year we gave out Debbie Meyer green bags to people when they signed up because it was a tool we were trying to teach them how to store their vegetables longer, and so we gave everybody like 3 green bags in their first box, and that was we still have people talking about that, like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad you introduced me to green bags. So if you can think of something that's kind of cheap like that, that would be also an idea. Let's see. So I did not leverage this scarcity and this urgency piece in my first 8 years, and I did in my last launch, the one that got this crazy renewal rate. And I feel like this is a reason, because I executed urgency. I learned what it meant to make an offer, to build a great offer. I learned what it meant to create bonuses and to put deadlines on things. And I executed all of that, and this fear of missing out principle was triggered, and that's why people bought. Interestingly enough, and this is kind of true in the industry, in the digital marketing industry, they say that you'll see the majority of your sales happening on the first 2 days of the launch period and on the last day. So in my case, I definitely saw more on the first 2 days, just because that whole egg share thing. And then I saw another spike on the last 2 days. So, if you're interested, I currently, I think when it was the end of November, I still had like 20 shares after that really wildly successful launch period. And I thought, oh my gosh, I'm totally going to sell out by Christmas. Okay, it's February 8th, 9th, I don't even know. And I still have 6 shares to sell. All right, they've been dribbling in. And I've been a little frustrated by that, but at the same time, I also realized that I don't really need to execute this great marketing strategy, because they'll just dribble in. But if I really wanted to sell those 20 shares, I could have paused for a couple of months and then done another hardcore launch period to my list and probably filled them. Okay, so I really believe in this launch system, executing that a couple times a year in a kind of a seasonal way, that it really does make a difference. All right, I want you to go back to the very first question that I asked you at the beginning of the session. I asked you to consider a recent big purchase that you have made, and ask yourself which of these 4 reasons to buy were being deployed. And I would love it if you would write down in the comment section right now 1 or 2 of the reasons to buy that maybe were at play in your decision to buy the product that you ended up buying. So write that down here real quick if you can. So I'm going to review them real quick. Remember, the first one is personal gain. The second one was logic and research. The third one is social proof and testimonials. And the fourth one is fear of loss or fear of missing out. Okay, so if you think about the thing that you recently purchased, $50 item or more, which one of those things was active in your own head that caused you ultimately to buy? So type those out here. I would love to see those responses. My recent purchase was 4 kitchen chairs. We're redoing our kitchen, as I told you, and we just had this gorgeous kitchen table made, and we had to go out and find chairs that were sort of like bar level height. And my husband and I decided that it was really important for us to get some solid chairs, that we have some really big people in our family, and we wanted them to be able to come to our house, have dinner, sit in this chair, and not worry that it was going to collapse. And we wanted it to be comfortable. We wanted people to stay at the kitchen table and linger, because it wasn't, we didn't want the chair to be uncomfortable, okay? So we sort of had these priorities, and once we decided, oh, we need to get the chairs. The table showed up, and we had no chairs to sit on. And so there was this sense of urgency, like, I got to get this figured out so we can sit down. And what did I do? I went and started looking online. I went to the big, certain stores that I knew might have these kind of chairs. I looked around, and then I spotted some, and I went to the actual box store and tried to sit on them and see if I liked them. We happened to end up buying them from Pier 1 of all places, and I looked at the reviews. I looked at what people said about this chair, and I personally sat in them for a long time to see if I liked it myself. And I should also say that I then went back to the internet, looked on Pier 1's website, and I noticed that there was an offer. There was a discount of 15% if you bought it online, and it was free shipping. So I didn't end up going back to the actual store to buy it. I bought it online because there was a special offer that caused me to say, I'm going to buy this now, because that offer was only good for the rest of that week. Okay, so those were an example from my life of how I used personal gain. I wanted these chairs and I needed them now. I did my research online. I spent a lot of time looking at different chairs, and I went and actually sat in some. I looked at reviews, and I ended up getting an online deal where the scarcity piece, there's only so much time before this discount goes away, was being activated on me. I spent $780 on those chairs. Okay, this was a lot of money. So a great example, lots of different ways that I was being worked on that ultimately led me to buy. All right, so these are the 4 reasons that people buy. Use them wisely. I actually have a piece of paper on my bulletin board up here, and it lists them, the 4 reasons people buy. I leave that front and center because when I sit down at this computer and I'm writing copy for my website or wherever, sometimes it helps to just look at that and kind of do a double check, like, are these in here? Have I forgotten to put testimonials somewhere? I should add one. All right, so I really like having this list around to stare at, especially if you're kind of new to this. This is one of those pieces of content that you don't want to forget, because it's really, really core to why marketing works. All right, we're done. Amy, I see you have a question. Have you found it positive to compare the weekly dollar value to an overall family budget? Like how small $20 per week on a share compared to the overall $100 a week grocery budget line? Yeah, I haven't ever done that, but yeah, that would be a great suggestion. So that kind of is speaking to the logic piece, right? Like, hey, justify this purchase this way. It sounds like a lot of money, but when you compare it to what you're already paying, it's actually really reasonable. So yeah, that would be a great idea. Any other questions before I sign off? All right, so you guys have a great week. I was going to tell you your call to action. This next coming weekend, Thursday through Sunday, I'm going to be out of town at the OFA conference, but I'm going to try to put together a training from the hotel room, probably. Something small and simple, but I'll do something. And what I'd like for you to do, kind of your takeaway from today's session, is I want you to brainstorm a list of things that you could do to start leveraging these 4 reasons people buy in your marketing, okay? How can you focus on personal gain or solving their problem? Where can you provide content that really gets at that logic and justifying piece? Where can you add in some social proof or testimonials into your sales process? And how can you create scarcity and urgency, deadlines, so that people experience that fear that I might miss out on this offer, okay? So I want you to just brainstorm a list, and then I want you to just pick one thing, okay? One thing this year that you can do in your sales campaign. Don't feel overwhelmed, like, I have to do all these things Corinna's doing. I didn't do them all at once, guys. I layered them on year after year, slowly been adding them in. Just pick 1 or 2 things that you feel like you could easily do, and try to add that to your promotion campaign this coming spring, okay? All right, you guys, have a great rest of the weekend, and I will talk to you soon. I'm going to have to walk all the way around here to turn this off. Have a good one. Bye, guys.